So I know what you're thinking. There's so many legends, what do I play when I'm just starting out? Where will I find the most success and help me get a good foothold on how to play the game without always getting completely bodied? So I'm going to give you my opinion on the best beginner legends in Brawlhalla. First of all, let's take a look at the legend win rates across the board for all Brawlhalla matches played. According to Brawlmance.com, a database website that keeps track of every Brawlhalla match played, including custom lobbies, the top 6 highest win rate legends right now in the current patch are: number 6, Roland with a 52.52% win rate. Number 5, Nash with a 52.53% win rate. Number 4, Orion with a 53.17% win rate. Number 3, Taros with a 53.31% win rate. Number 2, Scarlet with a 53.90% win rate. And of course, number 1, you guys already know, Algrim with a 53.98% win rate. Now that is a legend, my friends. Noticing any trends with the weapons being played on these characters? Pay attention to the defense stat. None of these top 6 are 3 or 4 defense legends. To be honest, Orion up here as well. He has a really high play rate, 5.28% play rate. Nash up here has a high win rate, but he only has a 1% play rate. A lot of players don't play Nash. Rin has a pretty high win rate as well. Really good character. Let's go ahead and take a look at the bottom. Who has the worst win rates in the game? At the bottom, we have Jiro with a 45% win rate. 45.3. That is pretty sad, honestly. Feels bad for Jiro. Gotta give Ray down here as the second lowest win rate. So I'm surprised Lucian is so low. Kind of a, I guess, more difficult character to play. Obviously, Mordek's a little bit more difficult to play. Fate, 3 defense stats. Jiro's also 3 defense. 3 defense usually means harder unless they have an insane signature kit. But yeah, win rate doesn't mean everything, guys. And don't judge who you're playing just based off this global win rate, play rate, but it's good info to look at and keep it in mind. First thing that you're going to notice is there is no Lance Legends below a 50% win rate in this current patch. Lance is a little bit different of a weapon than the rest of the weapons in Brawlhalla. In my opinion, Lance doesn't really have any quick driftable aerials, which sort of takes out a skill that is needed on all of the other weapons except for cannon. Don't get me wrong, quick driftable aerials are strong, really strong. So strong that over the years Lance has continuously been preached to be the worst weapon in the Brawlhalla game that we know, and constantly was getting buffed in its other areas. So in turn, Lance's very strong ground game, a very strong string game, kills very early, and has large hitboxes and lots of active frames. As a result, I would say as a new player, this weapon may not feel like you have more freestyle control of your character in the air, but it will be easier to find ways to control and punish players on the stage right off the bat. Pairing this weapon with Axe and Hammer, the 2 other hard-hitting weapons that have tons of kill options, will give you some really easy wins early on. And that's why Algrim and Scarlet are going to be the first 2 legends I recommend to beginner players who especially care about getting more wins early on when you are first starting to play. Now for the mad lads who don't want to rely on Lance early on, I'm going to have to recommend you Sword or Spear legends. Spear and Sword are some of the most straightforward, easiest to understand weapons, and people say the string and combo game on these weapons is fairly simple, and what move to look for when you have advantage state is easier to find. You will also get to enjoy and master the very strong driftable aerials on these weapons, which will help you transfer to other weapons a bit easier. For spear and sword users, I would recommend, first of all, Bodvar, Bryn, and Hattori. Now Bodvar and Bryn both have a hard-hitting, easy-to-kill weapon as their secondary, and a good amount of defense, while Hattori has more movement speed and both spear and sword. Now for katars, the first weapon I'm going to recommend that will force you to learn the string game and punish dodges in Brawlhalla. Katars are quick, but don't have a lot of range, so you won't be zoning in the same way as you would with other weapons. You will need to punish dodges and movement options after you hit your opponent. But don't worry, out of all the string weapons, these are probably the easiest for new players to start hitting strings and understand what to do. For Katar Legends, for new players, I would recommend Ragnir and Azuri. Both of these legends have won many tournaments in Brawlhalla over the years, and have a great signature kit to help you finish killing your opponent, as Katars are known to struggle with killing your opponent. Now on to bow. The last weapon I will potentially recommend to new players would have to be bow. Although I don't believe this weapon to be very strong in the current meta, in my opinion, it has a weaker neutral game than other weapons, but has a very straightforward string game and a great offstage toolkit, and is quite fun to play. If you are a new player and really want to play bow, I will recommend you to try either Koji or Azoth, as these characters have both extremely strong signature kits that go very well, and a fairly easy straightforward weapon to play as their secondary. Now on to weapons that might be a little bit more difficult to play as a newer player. Gauntlets, scythe, cannon, and guns. In my opinion, these weapons are just a little bit harder to play. All of these weapons require you to know the string/combo game, but also have a bit of unique attributes to how they are played. For example, guns have the furthest range, but do not have proper tools to deal with stacked options, while gauntlets have possibly the largest string game, but lack priority in neutral. Scythe has some of the most complex offstage and requires you to manage directional active input, and cannon is similar to Lance, where it has no quick driftable aerials, but doesn't have very good priority in neutral on the ground. Now, even though I may suggest that these weapons are a little bit harder to master, especially as a beginner player, that is no reason not to main a legend who has one or both of these weapons in his toolkit right off the bat. At the end of the day, I do think you should play whatever legend you think looks cool or you're having the most fun with, as you're going to find most success by doing that. I really do believe any legend in Brawlhalla's current state could win a tournament if you put enough effort in, and good luck on the battlefield, boys.
2,000 years later, 6.5 hours later, a few inches later, day 2, day 3, day 4, a few moments later, 1 eternity later, 3 days later, 12 seconds later, 3:28 a.m. 3 weeks later, many months later.
So much later that the old narrator got tired of waiting and they had to hire a new one.
Tomorrow for sure. Eventually, 12 o'clock midnight. 2 hours later. Meanwhile, 8:01 p.m. the next day. Later, 20 minutes later. 6 hours later. Several bad puns later. 1 hour later. 2 hours later. 3 hours later.
Can you move it along? I'm all out of time cards.
Oh yeah, and there's this guy. I guess you could play him too. He's kinda alright.
Up there, it's back. Ooh. They knew. You guys.
Are you? No.